My presentation is on Things by Jose Saramago, and my name is Caitlin Morrow. So a little bit of background on the story of Things. It was written by Jose Saramago in 1978 during a time of dictatorship over Portugal, in which Saramago had a job and he lost it, which he claimed were due to political reasons. And because of this, he turned back to the writing that he had abandoned once he got his job, and he wrote a group of short stories that he then compiled into the book The Lives of Things. And these stories subtly detailed how dictatorship can change society and can affect the people in the society. So in the story Things is a futuristic reality in which the inanimate objects can come to life. So they are personified. They are given different characteristics that humans would normally have, and this is considered normal for the people. They're used to this. And the people are also referred to by their profession rather than anything they worked up towards in their life. So the main character, he is known as just a government worker, and that is how he thinks of himself and how he addresses himself throughout the story. So anybody he meets, he always compares them to his profession and thinks about what their profession is and how better or how he needs to work up to that position, which can only be achieved when the government decides that you're worthy of another position. And that is shown by the letters on their hands. So each person has a letter on their hand that describes the class of people that they are in. And as you move further up the chain and further up the command in government, you have higher letters. So anywhere between F and H is kind of seen as middle class, and so people will flash that at other people to show that they're superior. This is a very communist society, and this is commentary on the dictatorship in Portugal that Saramago found himself underneath and how he felt powerless underneath those politics. Okay? And the first slide of analysis is about how the people and inanimate objects were seen as the same thing. Humans were not separated from objects with their humanity or with their thoughts or personalities or anything. It was all seen as basic and equal. In one of the very first scenes in the story, the main character, he has to get a cut fixed on his hand because the door had lashed out and slashed him, and it was a deep cut on his hand. And while he was talking to the nurse was telling him about how one of the settees in the lobby had become really hot, so nobody could sit on it. And so the doctor decided to give it a shot for its fever that it had. So in this society, the objects are viewed as human, which takes away the humanity from the people and puts them on an even playing field with all of the inanimate objects. And the people can only think about their status in society. That is the one thing that motivates them and keeps them moving through each day. The character often thinks about how he would like to carpet his apartment, but he cannot because he would have to move up status for that, and he would have to earn more money for that, which he cannot do because he is stuck in that one role that the government decided to give him without any say by him or any decisions made by the main character. So the government has complete control over the people. We also see this when the government decides to change the rules about factories, and the factories have to start putting flaws in their products because the products were too good for the people. And the people just take this as it comes. They are described as believing the government and talking about how the government will fix all the problems and that whatever the government decides is the best thing for everybody's life. The main character never even thinks about breaking society or how he doesn't mean anything or how he can't move up in his life. He's just stuck where he is. Instead, he just focuses on the chance that the government has given everybody about moving up in rank, and that becomes his one motivation. Because of all the inanimate objects becoming lifelike, they have started disappearing and hurting people and killing people, and it becomes a very chaotic city. And instead of thinking about how the government is not taking control of the situation, is not helping the people, the main character instead thinks about how he can benefit his own life and move up a rank. and that becomes very, very important to him. So this story is about how a communist society deteriorates within itself, and the government, because it wants to retain its control over the people, begin to destroy society as they know it. Because as the book nears its end, the inanimate objects are disappearing, everything is becoming chaotic, people are being killed, being gravely injured, their lives are all changing, and nothing is orderly or is put together anymore. And the main character, he is faced with a decision. He meets this group of people who have been living in the woods and just watch as the destruction happens in the city. He can either join them and rebuild society and create a better, more hardworking society where he can move up and down without the government telling him where to go or where to move. And instead, all he can think about is moving up in class, and so he tries to yell out into nothing for the government to come and find these people, and instead he is taken away, and the people at the end of the story are moving back into the city after everything has been destroyed, and talk about how they will not be treated as things again, and they will gain back their humanity after the government lost all control.